before I came up with this exact system, I used to trade randomly, and obviously that made me unprofitable because I had no idea what I was going to be doing for each day. I had no rules. I had no way of trading with precision because I had no system. And so in today's video, I'm going to be going over exactly my system, the way that I trade every single day, and the rules that I follow. Let's get into the video. As always, if you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. The first thing I want to go over is what I trade. I trade futures, and I also trade mainly MNQ. Sometimes I'll trade ES, and I'll trade gold or silver, but mainly my bread and butter is MNQ. Now, if you're not familiar with NASDAQ and micro, basically how I'm trading is that 10 micros is worth 1 mini. So my risk is significantly smaller when I'm trading versus trading 1 mini. A lot of people go into, for example, prop firm challenges, and they're trading 1 mini, and I had to learn the hard way is that 1 mini can make you blow your whole account, because you can easily hit that drawdown really quick. So when I changed into trading with micros, my strategy changed significantly. Now I'm no longer on the verge of losing my account by losing one trade. I have more control because, again, 10 micros equals 1 mini. So I could take 6 contracts and still not have the same amount of risk I would have if I was trading minis. So that's my secret. That's my little hack that I use, how I actually trade. Get into the risk part too, since we're already talking about risk. I'm looking for a 2RR trade. What does that mean? So if let's say I'm entering here for whatever reason, right? Let's say that this is a setup and I have my stop at this low, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna target these highs. Well, this is only a 1.3 RR. So we're looking for this number to say 2. Basically, for every dollar that I'm risking, I'm making 2x that. Now, sometimes I'll make an exception. If I see a play and it's like a 1.3, 1.2, I might take it with less size. But ideally, I'm looking for anything above a 1.5. Sweet spot, A+ setup, 2.0 trade. That way, I'm making sure that I'm getting the bang for my buck, essentially. And that's how you stay profitable. The key to profitability is really making more than what you lose, essentially. So if you're taking 2RR trades, at least 1.5 RR and up, you're gonna naturally have a curve where your wins are bigger than your losses, because you shouldn't be losing more than under 1.5 of your trade. My profit factor and my equity curve should show that. So that's like the key to my risk, and that's how I really map out my trading. If you're not familiar with the tools I'm using, go watch my trading view video. I'll go more in depth in that. But for a simple overview, right now I'm using the long tool, and you have the short tool, and it basically just shows your ratio. And again, that video I'll go more in depth about how to use it. But yeah, it tells you your ratio, and that's the key point that we're talking about in this video. As much as risk management is important, another key part of this system is the time of day that I trade. I don't trade every single hour of the day. I don't trade every single minute of the day. I trade between a certain window. So between 9:30 and to 10:30, I'm trading. If I don't see a setup after 10:30, I'm usually off the charts. And before I even get on, so market opens at 9:30. I'm usually on the chart by 9:15 to get a clean analysis on what the market is doing. And as you can see right now, because it's Monday, I don't trade, so that's why you can see market open is happening currently. I would have done a top-down analysis before the market even opened. That way I'm prepared and go into the day. If you go into market open with no idea what price it might be targeting, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you have no idea where price wants to go, and you're going to go in here winging it, thinking, oh, we're going to short this, or I'm going to take these highs out, because you're going off of a candle instead of going off of market structure and price action, which I will be making another video on market structure so you guys can understand what that looks like and what that means. But in the meantime, we're just going over, what I trade. So the key times that you trade is super important. This is AM session. If you're going to trade PM session, that's okay. Or if you're going to go London session or Asian session, figure out what kind of trader that you are and stick with it. Do not try to trade every single session, because not every single session acts the same. For me, I stick with New York session. That has made me consistent and profitable over time. I have no need to trade London or Asia, even certain days. For example, I know that Mondays for me and my system does not work. I know that Mondays is usually slower. I know that Mondays is usually not as precise price action. So therefore, I don't trade, and therefore I've been more profitable without chasing and forcing setups on Mondays. Even though right now, like right now, we're delivering, and I still don't have any urge to touch this chart because it's a Monday, and I prefer to just wait until my actual day to trade. So that's a big part of your system, is also knowing how to follow your system. You can't have a system if you're not actually following it, right? If you don't have the discipline and structure to stick with it. A lot of traders don't understand and have the discipline on how to not trade. Like right now, they see that, oh, I have to get in, the trend is going, I have to get in, we're shorting, they're dumping, I want to get this money and get this move. But there is more money in discipline than there is in chasing setups and chasing trades when it's not ideal for your system and for your strategy and for your setup. So once you create the foundation for your trading, everything else will slowly start to fall in place, because now you have a clear layout on what you want your trading day to look like. and you can follow it every day, day in, day out, and you can slowly see your equity curve. You follow it, whether it's going up or going down. And then if it's going down, you can say, okay, what do I need to change in my system in order to become more profitable? So that is the simple overview of the time that I trade and why, and also the days that I don't trade, which is Mondays. The rest of the week I trade same time every single day. I'm trading New York session, I'm market open, ideally 9 by 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'm on the chart to have a clear analysis. Now, if you're a beginner, you might want to get on the chart 30 to 40 minutes early. For me, I've been trading for 2 years, so 15 minutes is more than enough time for me to get a clear daily bias, to know what's going on with the chart. I can tell you, even right now, watching this chart on a Monday, I know why we're shorting. I can see the rejection wicks. I can see what's going on. Versus if you're new to trading, if you haven't had as much screen time as I've had over the last 2 years, then you might want to get on a little early. That way you have enough time to actually fully know what you're looking at, fully understand what you're looking at. And if you're confused, give yourself time to write that stuff down. That leads into our next part of that system is journaling. I'm an avid journaler, and when I first started trading, I was screen recording my trades like you would like an athlete. If you were in football, you would record your plays. That way you can get better at executing them every single day. So with trading, it's the same thing. I would screen record my trades, and that way I would be able to see, okay, this play didn't play out. Why? A lot of times I could see myself emotionally interfering with the trade real time. I'll watch a video back and be like, dang, why did I close this trade out? It was actually a good trade. And I can see my fear. I can see the mouse hovering, right? I can see myself shaking. I can see this happening in real time. I'm like, I could have just taken this trade. I could have held it, whatever. It's no big deal. But instead I got out early because of what? Maybe I was panicked. Maybe I was oversized. Maybe I just didn't believe in the trade enough. So when you screen record, you can start to see that in real time and catch yourself when it happens and start becoming aware of it. I see a lot of traders become arrogant too fast or too confident too fast. They're trading for 2 months, or maybe they're trading for 3 months, and they've seen some sort of profitability so far, and they're like, oh, how this figured out. But it's like, you don't actually have it figured out. Any trader that says that they have it figured out and they're not journaling or they're not trying to get better, I would run away from because they don't really know what they're talking about. There is no way to figure out the market because the market is constantly changing. So yes, you might have for me, I'm profitable, I have a strategy, I have an idea, but do I think I have everything figured out? No, I'm constantly learning. I'm very transparent about the fact that I'm still learning, I'm still getting better, and I'm not really anybody perfect or crazy. I'm just someone that understands how to be profitable enough, and I want to teach people. I also want to continue, like I said, to share my journey and the reality of trading and continue to get better. With that being said, journaling is a key. So outside of just screen recording, I write down every single day, the trade that I took, why I took it, why did I lose or win, the emotions I felt. That's just a big part too. Not even focusing on your P&L, but the emotions you felt during that time, because emotions and psychology is a big part of trading that people leave out on. So you start recording and you start documenting, okay, I felt nervous when I had 6 contracts instead of 5. Why is that? Right? It's the same setup, it's the same play, but I felt more nervous because I had this number of contracts, or maybe I was on this account with this size. If you start doing that over and over again, you'll start to see a pattern in your system, So the biggest thing that the 3 things I would always say in my journal every single day is, what did I do? What can I improve on? And then also, what did you do well? When you start to recognize what you're doing well, you're training your brain to see progress, because in the trading game, we often categorize progress by wins and money, but in reality, trading, again, is a craft, it's a skill, so it's not all about money. Your progress can be, oh, I hold this trade out and let it actually play out. Your progress could be, I actually downsized. Your progress could be that I didn't blow this account today. I also trade and I stop. It could be many wins, and that way you're training your brain to not only not focus on money, but you're also training your brain to focus on the skill, and seeing yourself progress makes the journey a lot more bearable. Because if you're in a losing streak, or you're in a phase where you're losing a lot of accounts, or maybe you're just not doing well per se money wise, but if okay, even though I've lost this many accounts in the past few weeks, I know that I've been doing better with spotting my strategy. I know I've been doing better with getting off the chart at a certain time. Like I said, in my system, I have a time that I trade. So if I'm off the chart by 10:30, 11, that's a win for me, right? Or even right now, I got to a point where I could look at the chart and watch how we're distributing on a Monday and still be like, I'm not going to touch this chart today. That is a win for me. So it's like, once you get to a point where you start recognizing your little wins, again, it makes the journey a little bit more bearable, and you get to see yourself progress. If I open my journal from last year, per se, when I was still getting better at trading, me now would be so proud of past me, because I was like, wow, like look how much I've grown, since that time, and I can have a record of how well I've been doing. So don't sleep on journaling. Journaling is a big part of my system. Even to this day, I still journal. It is not as extensive as it was because I don't need to really dive deep in my emotions. I've gotten better at detachment and not being so attached to the market or trading. But in the beginning, when you're attached to this dream and this idea that you're going to build generational wealth quick and you're going to get rich quick and you're going to have all these things fast, every trade becomes a life or death situation. Every trade becomes significant. And when you slowly start to detach from that, you start to see, okay, one trade does not make or break my account. One trade does not make or break me as a trader. Especially if you're a new trader too, when you early on, you start telling people that you trade, you want to prove to yourself, oh, I'm a good trader. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And again, every trade you become attached to, every trade becomes a lifeline. Instead of when you detach, you realize it doesn't matter. Because again, we take a span of 2 months, 3 months. If you're in this game for the long term, it really doesn't matter as long as you're doing well. So the last part of my system, of course, is the setup that I'm looking for. So I would say there's 4 or 5 key things that I'm looking for, and there's ratings on each setup, which I'll go in depth on a different video on how to actually trade my setup and how to find my setup. But I'm looking for multiple confluence stacking upon each other, right? So the first thing I would do looking for in the chart, I'm looking for what price could be targeting. So since we're shorting right now, a key point I would be looking for, I'll be like, okay, what are we targeting? I see that we have this giant short at open. I see that we have London's lows resting below us. So that would be a target that I would map out. Now, if I was bullish before price opened and I didn't see or didn't know that we were going to dump, I would be looking at, okay, we have this high here. And I would also want to confirm this rejection wick. Did we have news at 7:15? Because this is abnormal. Yeah, we'll have a high in London. Yes, we'll have, swing highs and swing lows, and we'll have a high for the session. But a candle like this usually what it means is a data high or a news candle if it looks like a giant rejection wick. Now, here, I don't know if we had news at 7:15. It could just be a rejection wick from an imbalance that we have resting above us, but I want to look more into that, right? So you see I have targets. I'm looking for what kind of lows or highs that we might be taking out, right? If I go to the hourly, I'm looking for, and is there a bullish or bearish fair value gap that we're holding? Yes or no? Is there SMT between ES and MNQ? Yes or no? These are things that I'm looking for, compounding them on top of each other to then form a bias on what I'm going to do. So I'm looking for a specific setup every single day. I'm not just going to the market and going based off of a random push down, because we can get manipulation, right? So a big part of a system is having a clear entry. If you go into the day and let's say you missed your entry, let's say my entry was this imbalance right here, right? And as you can see, this is the only imbalance that we inversed on this swing of candles here. We don't have any more imbalances. So would it make sense for me to then try to chase this play and then enter way down here when there's no imbalance? And then we already swept London's low right now. So then if I get in here, what am I targeting? Okay, maybe I could target Asia's low, but there's no guarantee that price will continue lower. And then where's my risk at? Now my risk is kind of awkward. Now it's going to be maybe at this, maybe now it might be at this fair value gap or this fair value gap, but it's awkward because we might get a pullback. Price is not always smooth distribution. Sometimes prices will get a pullback before actually continuing to move. So that's why the entry for my model and my system is super important, because if I enter late, then once I get a pullback, I'm getting stopped out because my entry was not good. And you can even see some of the smaller pullbacks we had on this one, right? On the 1 minute, you can see that we are already tapped into this imbalance 3 or 4 times. So if my stop is too tight or in this area and we get a swing or high, because these are smaller tap into imbalances, but sometimes price will come back up a little higher before going down. Now I'm getting stopped out. So now it doesn't have to be perfect all the time, of course, but ideally, you want to get in at a solid time. That's why having a solid entry is key, because I've had times when I first started trading, I didn't understand that, and I would just enter whatever when I saw a setup, and I would lose, and the setup would still run without me because I just wasn't entering correctly. So that is a major key point that I want to hit. So another part of my process is once a target has been met, I'm usually going to be more patient and waiting for another setup. So in this case, London has already been taken out. I'm waiting to see, okay, if we're going to continue lower, how is that going to look like? So let's zoom in on the 1 minute. What are we doing? We're slowing down. This is like consolidation a little bit. We're starting to slow down. We already took our solid out. We already took our target out. What's price going to do? Are we going to come back up, maybe get a little bit of a manipulation, target these highs? Are we going to come back up fully and come back up into New York's equal highs right here. That's a clear target if we're being bullish. 10 o'clock usually brings a reversal where we want to be bullish because we already took our target out. So another key part of my process is also not rushing a setup. If my target has already been hit, I'm being patient. I'm sitting on my hands. I'm waiting for the next target. Because another key thing with traders that I think people overlook, when you get to a point where I'm at in my trading career, in my trading journey, you realize that you're more profitable when you're taking A+ setups or setups that actually count. When you're chasing setups and you're chasing plays to make money or try to get a payout or try to pass an eval, you realize that it's not really worth it. Like, for example, like I said earlier, if I'm not in this trade out of not a perfect entry, but an ideal entry, it's not really worth me putting money on the line and then potentially losing because it's a low probability setup. Then it's like, well, why am I taking this trade? If you're taking low probability setups, then you're gonna end up losing 9 out of 10 times because you're taking setups that aren't really good in the first place. So once you get that mindset too, and you start to realize, okay, well, it's not really worth it to take a trade where I know that my setup has already played out, my target is already gone. I would rather just wait and see what price is gonna do. Overall, this is the key components that mix up my system: the times that I trade, what I trade, my risk to reward ratio. And again, I will be going more in depth on my setup and my daily buys and what I look for and stuff like that. But this was just an entry video to do a basic overview on what I'm looking for on the charts. And again, I'm not anyone crazy or perfect. I'm just someone that is on the journey of trading and want to share what I know as I continue to get better as a trader and hopefully help people around me who want to learn how to trade. Again, it's not a perfect setup. It's not a perfect process. It's just what I use and I found success in. I encourage you to find your own system and something that you find, success in as well. Trading is very individualized like that, so don't take everything that I'm saying and run with it. Of course, find your own way, find what works. This is what worked for me. So again, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.